May it please your honors. I'm sorry, my throat is not working very well. I am going to submit on the first charge, that is the chief prosecutor of KLWCC against Amos Young. My learned friend, Professor Gurja Singh, has covered, I think, almost everything. He has covered the points of law, the history, and all the facts about this case. So, I will try and be as brief as possible. The first charge is against Amos Yaron. He is actually the commanding officer in charge, commanding officer of the IDF, Israel Defense Force, in charge and for the area in Beirut, West Beirut, for the area camps Sarba and Shatila. Now, the charge is simply that he perpetrated war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide in his capacity as commanding Israel general in military control of the Sabra and Shatila refugee camps in Israel-occupied Lebanon in September 1982, when he knowingly facilitated and permitted the large-scale massacre of the residents of those two camps. So basically, he was in charge. His job is to ensure that there was law and order and there was peace in West Beirut. Now, in this charge, from what I can see, there are two issues which I'll try and demonstrate. The first issue is whether or not there was a large-scale massacre of the residents of the camps of Sabra and Shatila in West Beirut in September, and about for 3 days on 16, 17, 18 of September. That's the first issue, whether or not there was a massacre. And second issue is whether or not Brigadier General Amos Yaron had failed to perform his duty as commanding officer, and therefore had facilitated and permitted a large-scale massacre of the residents in the two camps of Sabra and Shatila, in violation of a number of international laws, which includes our Kuala Lumpur Charter, Article 9, 10, and 11. So these are the two issues. I shall try and demonstrate that, firstly, that there were large-scale massacres. I don't think that is a difficult thing to do now. Professor Gurja Singh has described the whole range of the massacre in Sabra and Sachin. So what I will do, I will just refer to the evidence of two witnesses, two very brave, admirable ladies who came forward to give their evidence. I just refer to parts of their evidence to show that there were a lot of killings. And the other one is I shall refer to certain parts of the Kahan Commission, which has been in fact described briefly by Professor Gujjar. These two will justify that there were massacres, tortures, and all sorts of things happening on 3 days, 16, 17, 18 of September 1982. First, I just like to refresh our mind on this witness statement. Just two or three parts. The first one is by Shahira Awardini. She gave evidence here, but I just repeat one or two points just to remind ourselves. This statement, the statutory declaration, first paragraph 4, I want to read. I am married and I have 3 children, a pair of twins born in 1980 and a boy born in 1982. My son was 17 days old when the Israelis massacred Palestinians at Camp Shatila on 16 and 17 and 18 of September. She was there, she saw with her own eyes the massacre. Then I read paragraph 40. Seeing the armed men, the children started screaming. The militia ordered all the men to leave the room and stand against the wall outside. The men were searched and their watches and jewelry removed and thrown on the floor. Then they shot the men. My husband, my brother, my cousin were all shot dead. I saw all this. The children also saw all this. I just read one more, because this one is a terrible one. That's why I'm going to read. Paragraph 90. Along the way to the stadium, I saw my cousin's daughter, who was pregnant, lying dead. The murderers had opened her body and taken out her baby and put the baby on her. The child was dead as well. She was lying on the street. His cousin's daughter was actually deaf and dumb and was living in a home for the disabled. The people who were in the home told me that she had indicated to the soldiers not to kill her because she was pregnant, but they did and did not care. The next one, para 32, in 36 hours, up to 3,500 people from Shatila and Sabra had been massacred. There are also people unaccounted for who had disappeared. This paragraph 33 is important. The phalangists who are the Christians from Lebanon, the Falangist militia worked together with the Israelis. They were known to be puppets for Israeli forces. Israelis used them to go into our houses because these soldiers knew the place and could speak Lebanese. The Israelis were afraid to go in themselves. The next one, I just want to touch on the statement given by Dr. Ann Suicide. She gave evidence herself here. In the beginning, she was supporting Israel, but decided to change her mind. Now I read paragraph 6 of witness statement. However, the 1982 television BBC News coverage of the Israeli invasion of Lebanon showed the devastation and destruction brought on the people of Lebanon. Apart from the daily television coverage, the mainstream British newspapers, such as The Times and The Guardian, described the ruthless and continuous bombing of Lebanon and the siege of her capital, Beirut, and denying the cooperation of water, electricity, food, and medicine, creating catastrophic suffering. Next one, I just want to read. There's one or two more. As Gaza Hospital overlooked Sabra and Shatila camps, I also saw families broken up by the invasion come back to life in the bombed out buildings. I learned from the returning families how they had lost family members through the bombs. Many of them wounded, especially the children, but also traumatized by the evacuation of 14,000 PLO members. Each evacuee left behind wife, sisters, elderly parents, and children, undertaking to go into exile, never to come back to their family in Lebanon. I was invited to their homes, and they generously shared whatever mere possession they had with me. That's what she experienced there. I just read the last one. The hospital quieted down that night, although shootings were still taking place outside in the camps. Patients were now beginning to take their own discharge, some carried out by their own families. We continued to operate through the night. The last person I operated on was an 11-year-old boy, shot together with 27 members of his family. All 27 died, but he survived. He was brought to the hospital for treatment. As the bodies fell on him, he lay quietly and heard the women being raped and pleading to be spared. So that's the witnesses who saw and experienced what actually happened there. I need not describe any further. Then I just read the next thing I want to do is to refer to the Khan report. After that, then I will just summarize the Khan report has already been described by Professor Goodyear. The Kahan reports itself established at least between 300 to 700 people were killed. That's the report itself acknowledged. So I need not elaborate any further. All I want to say is that the first issue as to whether or not there was a large-scale massacre, and I submit that just the evidence of these two witnesses and the evidence recorded in the Khan report itself justify, has proven beyond doubt there were large-scale massacre. I go on to the next issue. The issue is about the General Amos Yaron, who was in charge. He was commanding officer in charge to ensure that there would not be any, there would be peace and law and order. Ensure that there will be no shooting. Now, what has happened? Why all this happened? Because the leadership, the army and so on, decided to go into, the IDF decided to go into Beirut and make a decision to agree that the Phalangists be allowed to enter West Beirut and into the camps and so on. Now, the issue is, as Professor Goodyear has already explained, that the intensity of the enmity and the hatred between the Israelis and the Palestinians has been there for years. And the move of Israeli soldiers into West Beirut, it's by itself would cause serious problems. And the Khan report itself concluded that anybody who knew about Lebanon would know that by releasing the Phalangists into Beirut, West Beirut, into the camps, there would be massacre and so on. That everybody knew. That's in the report itself. And surely this general who was in charge and who knows all the details, surely he knew that by releasing the Phalangists into the camps and so on, there would be, all this would happen. Now, but he decided to do nothing. He received reports of the killings of women and children on Thursday evening, the first day. Yet, one did not check the report. He did not do. This is in the current report. 2, did not pass the reports on to the Chief of Staff or his superior. Did not take appropriate steps to stop the phalanges and to protect the civilians. It is inescapable that based on the Commission's conclusion, that at least all the leaders there, at least 7 of the 9 individuals, including the Sharon, should have known of the likelihood of a massacre before the phalanges entry. And they knew and should have known a massacre was going after your entry, and yet failed to take appropriate steps to protect the civilian population. All these are embodied in the current report. Now, also embodied in the report, I would like to say that this general was insensitive to all this. And I submit that by ignoring all that and knowing the circumstances, he himself had the intention of causing death and all this. And I quote here that in his testimony to the Khan Commission, General Yaron said he was happy about the decision to send the Phalanges forces into the refugee camps because he got his own reason. The fighting serves their purposes as well. So let them participate and not let the IDF do the everything. So this is his own words, testimony at the Khan inquiry. Now,
what's the page number of that?
Yeah?
What's the page number of this very significant statement?
Check them. This is different. In the Khan report. I will check on that one.
We'll have to have the reference.
Volume 2, Volume 3, page 211, 291. Volume 2, Volume 3, page 291.
Yes, it's 1, 2, 3, the third paragraph, third last line. Yes.
Line 7.
We have been fighting here for 4 months already, and there is a place where they can take part in the fighting. The fighting serves their purpose as well. Yes, that's very significant.
I'm going to take a moment to explain something that I think is important, you might address. The special intent is the intent to kill, or the intent to have this group destroyed in part. There has been some reference to the being negligent and shutting one's eyes. If a person is genuinely shutting his eyes, it's recklessness, we know those terms in criminal law. I don't think that's the mens rea of genocide. Now, you've stated that this evidence which you just underlined is his intent actually to destroy, but he might address this issue of being negligent. And I listened to Prof. Goodale, and paragraph 520 of the Akaisu judgment seems to say that. I think it's a mistake. I think that the recent jurisprudence requires the full level, but I'd like you to address that if you can.
Yeah. Yes, what I can say is this. Now, you have to get the background. If you look at the background, the intensity of the enmity between the Israelis and the Palestinians, and the whole series of incidents. Now, this general, he knew right from the beginning that this massacre would happen. Everybody knew. Definitely, he knew it. Now, you say there is negligence? He didn't bother to do anything.
Right. Now, in the evidence, I don't have the reference.
Yes.
But on the Friday, what was that? 17th, I think. I think it's the 17th. At 11 o'clock, I think. Somewhere he said, I think the phalangists have gone too far. He apparently said that is evidence which contradicts what you just read out. How should we treat that evidence? Is that credible? Is it not credible that he said that?
He said that. He said that because he was supposed to ensure that there would be no trouble. So when somebody mentioned something like that, so he tried to defend himself. So.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to conclude now. I think I have already justified the two issues that I mentioned. All I want to say is that even the Khan report itself found this general guilty of what he was asked to do. The Khan report itself. So with that I conclude my presentation, and I pray that this general, that the charge, that he be found guilty as charged. Thank you.